Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Voices FCIAC Football Fast 5. Everything you need to know about Fairfield County High School football, all in about 5 minutes. With me once again is former Stanford High School head football coach and agent for JL Sports, Kevin Jones. Kevin, we're winding down the season, getting into a bit of a sleepy week 9, but we're pressing on here.
Yeah, we're going to really see the playoff picture develop next week. So this week we kind of got to get through this week to move on to next week where things will get really exciting.
All right. Trinity goes for it on 4th down, deep in Darien territory. They didn't try for the field goal. Darien wins it on Hail Mary touchdown. A couple of Hail Mary passes in a row there to win it. Kevin, don't you at least try for the field goal there? And how damaged are Trinity's playoff hopes?
Well, I don't know if the playoff hopes are damaged. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. It's 4th and 8. You don't want to go for it on 4th and 8, but you're at the 28. It's too long to kick a field. It'd be about 45-yard field goal. So you got to go for it. I think the mistake that got made was they took a sack. I mean, you got to tell the quarterback, maybe call a better play, get him rolling out. You got to throw the football away if he's not there. You can't give up the extra 10 yards and make it easier for the team to come back and win the game. So that was the big mistake. I think they still have a chance to make the playoffs. They've got to win at least one of their next 2, and it would be better if they won this week than the week after. They can get more points, but they may still make the playoffs.
So with the Trinity loss, we're now just one Staples and Greenwich win away from a rematch of last year's FCIAC championship game. Kevin, if you were in head coach Mark Petrosio or Rich Albanesi's shoes, how much would you rest your starters in games that should be relatively easy wins for both of these teams?
Well, both those guys have bad taste in shoes, so I would never wear their shoes. No, I think in high school football, you play the game the way it's supposed to be played. You're not going to rest your starters. This isn't the Colts from a few years ago. We're 15-0 with Tony Dungy, and we're going to take a break heading into after a long season going into the playoffs. No, they're both still playing for a home playoff spot. So there's no way you're going to rest your starters. Hey, if you're up by 50, great. Take them out, put the young guys in, get them some reps. But no, you're going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. No one's resting their starters. That's a crazy thought to even say out loud, Eric.
All right, we're going to have a bit of a first on this episode. Let's talk about a team we've never talked about in either season of the show, Fairfield Ludlow. The Falcons have their first winning streak since 2009 and have a decent shot to finish at 500 for the first time in a while. Ludlow handled Danbury. Are things starting to look up for the Falcons, Kevin?
Well, things are looking up obviously this year because I don't think they won any games last year, and now they have 3 wins. So obviously they're trending upwards. But I need to see a lot more than 3 wins to erase years and years and years and years of subpar football in the town of Fairfield. And it doesn't matter whether they've been 2 high schools to 1 high school to 2 high schools. They've always seemed to struggle to get wins in that town. So, finish 5-5 this year and come back next year with a winning season, and we'll start talking about how things are looking up in Fairfield when it comes to football.
All right, Kevin, both West Hill and Darien have a chance to finish with the same record, 6-4. Which team are you more surprised that is in that sentence?
Given those choices, I have to go with West Hill, and I look at West Hill going forward, and they have, a tough game this week. So unless Staples, the bus breaks down or something, this is not going to be a good game for West Hill. So they've got to go and beat Stanford on Thanksgiving. But if they do, they wind up having a very good season, probably the best season they've had since I think '83 or '85. So. I'm surprised they're there, but I'm happy they're there because it's nice to see a team that's had so many bad years finally kind of putting things together and maybe getting over the hump and having a winning season.
All right, and that'll bring us to our Daily Voice Game of the Week this Thursday, 7 p.m. Trinity Catholic versus St. Joe's. It'll be played at Bunnell in Stratford. Kevin, you could argue that Trinity hasn't had to defend against an elite quarterback like Jordan Mazzano this year, but they are now. What do the Crusaders have to do to stay in this game and keep their playoff hopes alive?
Well, we mentioned this a few weeks ago. We talked about who could play spoiler the rest of the way, and each one of the teams that I mentioned all had Trinity Catholic on their schedule. So here it is. Trinity's hitting the meat of their schedule. They had a heartbreaking loss to Darien, so they failed the first test, and now they got to go play St. Joe's. St. Joe's, their strengths play to all of Trinity Catholic's weaknesses, so they're going to spread them out, make them defend the whole field, and have them running all over the place. This is not a good formula for Trinity Catholic for winning this game. they're going to have to figure out a way to control the clock. If they can do that, they've got a chance to win because they're still a good football team. But I really like St. Joe's in this game. I think they're going to win, and it's going to force Trinity Catholic into a must-win situation on Thanksgiving Day if they expect to make the playoffs after this great season that they've had.
All right, that'll do it for another week of Fairfield County High School football. Tune in next week for an overstuffed Thanksgiving / FCIAC Championship edition. Until next time, I'm Eric Gendron.